So we're now ready for part 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over my sprint window and I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm going to say copy the pack template, which is the standard one, goes to third-party content. Also has a Lustra map in there by default, but not going to be a problem, as you're going to see. Again, and now I'm going to say paste. Don't say paste shortcut. We're actually going to make a copy. And then there's 2 edits that I'm going to suggest you make before we actually do the migration to this new project. Because we want to make sure that we're minimizing the steps for you as much as possible. And again, this will take a few minutes. But I do want to remind you a little bit about the migrates again while we're waiting for that. I got 2 forms of migrate. The form of migrate I'm going to use is here. It's a content migrate. I want game maps. I want everything under maps, but I do not want MDL because 1, it's already there, and that definitely would cause some issues. I do not want, in this case, the other form, or the map version. I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to go into maps here. Again, I'm waiting for my my copy of the template to be made. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm going to look here in the Sun Temple. And again, I can do I'm going to look at what a migrate would look like here. We see that it's just going to grab everything necessary for this map. And again, only get the assets necessary for the map. That may be exactly what you want. You may only want to manipulate the assets that are already in the map, and the textures that are already in the map, and the materials that are already in the map. If that's your choice, this is perfectly valid. If you want everything in here, you probably want to do the other. I'm going to do the other. This is going to be my migrate. I'm going to say migrate. Whoops, not there. That's a content viewer. I'm going to do my migrate from here, and I'm going to get everything from this folder, and I'm going to skip MDL. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Let me check on the status of my copy. We are almost there. Yep, we are getting there, as you can see. And things are going to go pretty good. There's a couple of things that are going to happen when we get there. We're going to rename some things. I recommend renaming the entire copied folder of the project, getting the club name right in it. And then we're going to rename the project folder itself. Those are kind of 2 things that we should go ahead and do in advance. One of the other aspects that we're going to have to be concerned about is the fact that this map uses its own blueprint character controller. So I'm going to show you a step that says, hey, don't use that. Use the default one for this project, which will basically be our character controller. Otherwise, for this map, might not be true for all of them. Some are pretty complex. For this map, we should pretty much be able to be up and running in the template almost fairly immediately, as I'll show you. We are at this point 80% complete, and we will be able to manipulate the copy here in just a minute. So let me get set up so that I can actually show you the copy, and I'm going to wait a minute before I rename things. What I've done is I've selected this and said make a copy of it, and we are almost done. I'm going to be able to show you the migrate process of the Sun Temple into a copy of the default template, which you would have gotten from us from our asset links in the Discord. So I believe we are 100% copied now. Almost. Yep, we are now. So let me do the first rename that needs to be done that I recommend. I'm going to get rid of the word copy. I'm going to replace the word template with Sun Temple. Okay, so now that I've renamed that, I'm also going to rename the project. Just get little things like this out of the way as quickly as possible so you don't get confused. You're not editing the blank normal template, that you're always editing the right project. So I'm going to say Sun Temple. And this is good. This should all be fun. We could open it and we would just see the default stuff we see. No need, actually, at this point. I am going to go ahead and migrate from here, this Sun Temple demo, directly into this project. Our target is this content folder right there, as you'll see. Okay, so I'm going to move it out of the way just so we have more to work with. Let's get the migrate done, shall we? We're going to move the Sun Temple into this project. MOOS Pack Sun Temple C0011. All right, let me get out of the way. Here we go. And I'm going to say migrate. Again, I'm going to do a content migrate. I want everything under maps. I'm going to turn off MDL. And again, it's following my structure perfectly. You know, if we were to just go close that up, you would see that's the structure MOOS needs. That's the structure the template needs. So we're going to say OK. And now it's going to say, where do we want it to go? I'll look in my directory, Sunpack. I'm going to open this. And we want it to go to a content folder. Migrate requires that you go to the content folder. That's why the structure is so important. We cannot go to mid folders and everything else in between. There has to be a path from content to the places that we want to migrate stuff to. That's just a requirement. So I'm going to say select the content folder of MOOS Pack Sun Temple C001, which at this point is the same as the default empty template. And we're going to say select folder. It is now in the process of copying the files from this project to the other project, the copy. We have now successfully migrated this, so I should be able to pull up more than one of these at the same time. So I'm going to bring this over, and I'm going to go look in here. And if you were to look in content, you would see under maps, all of my stuff went in there. Yeah, it's all there. So that's all good, right? So we're going to fire up this project. Again, and the next step is to kind of get it set up, make sure it works okay, make sure everything is running, and I'll show you that window in just a second. That won't take too long to load. Again, that's the nice thing about starting with an empty, clean template. You want to minimize the time it takes for it to load. Now, remember, it's also got all the assets for the Sun Temple that it has to initialize. So it might take a little bit longer for it to load up. And we may have some textures and other things that are shaders that are resetting. So some things might be a little fuzzy as we're loading stuff. But it goes pretty quick as in general. So I'm going to close that up again. You see, we started third person, this guy. And I'm going to go to maps. I see Ori maps. I see, of course, the Lustra. I left that there. And then I've got the Sun Temple right here. What I can do now, and again, the Sun Temple, the assets folder, everything looks, it never hurts to just take a quick glance, make sure everything looks good. I'm just going to say I want this to be the map I'm editing right now. And this is just standard UI. So, looks like I'm ready to play, right? Okay, so let me hit play. Ooh, yeah, but why did it not give me my avatar? That's because it's still using the original character controller that came with the Sun map. Remember, we asked it to copy everything, and that included, for this map, the character and game mode for this map. So, in order to get it to use the default mannequin, which is what we would like it to do in this case, so that we can test our map with the mannequin, I'm going to hit escape. And then I need to go I'm going to close this just so you can see how I got it there. I'm then going to go into settings, world settings, while I'm in this map, and I'm going to say, I want you to be none. I want you to use whatever the default is. See, I told you that when we load this program, we created a game mode right here in C++. This is the one I want you to use. This one uses that character control, that default mannequin. This says, I don't have one. Use the default, which is this one right here, which is going to bring up our mannequin. So I'm going to close that because that's all set. I will close. No, that's. I'll say there. I'm going to expand this one a little bit. Just annoys me that. And we're going to go into maps, and I'm done with world settings. Details, world settings. All right, so we are good to go. What do you think is going to happen when we hit play? Well, let's see. There we are, our mannequin in place, ready to go. Instead of it just being the camera, we're walking around, we're moving around. Everything is looking just awesome. We're almost set up. I'm going to do 2 other steps that I've talked about in an earlier video because I just like to be thorough about these things. And one, I don't want this mannequin, I want the other. So I'm going to do that real quick. So I'm going to go in into my third person blueprints and third person character. And as I told you, this is a data only blueprint. And I'm going to say I want to use this mannequin. And I got to recompile it. As I said, won't take effect unless I recompile it. I can play, and I'm with that avatar. That's good. And there's one other thing I want to do. I want to go into, again, I'm trying to show you the whole process I would use to get my template initially set up. I'm going to go into project settings. I'm going to go into maps and modes. And I'm going to say, you know what? We're going to start with where are you, Sun Temple? That's going to be from where I want to edit. And the sun level is where I want to play by default. And we're ready to go. This project's all set. I'm going to do a save all. And this is ready. This is now, I am now ready to use this sun template. I can start editing it. I can add assets of my own. I can move some of these assets around. I can change things using their assets, add my own, etc. Now, again, you would want to be somewhat consistent, like put my asset. You might want to have a separate folder for your assets to separate them from, say, the Sun Temple demo assets. I don't know. That's your organization. As long as they're under Sun Temple, we're good. Because I'm going to go to Sun Temple here. I am going to do something like this. Data asset. Primary asset label. I'm going to select this. I'm going to say PAL _ Sun Temple. And that's done. And then I'm going to go and say I want you to be, I'm going to want you to be 3,000, because I already know I got 2,000 taken. So I'm going to say 3,000. Grab everything. But in this case, when I'm packing things that I want to use, I only want the assets that are used in the map. So in this case, I gotta jump to find things a little bit. Sun level. I want only the assets that are assigned to the Sun Temple because we don't want to preload assets that are not used. And I'll do a save here. And this way, when I grab that file for the packing system, it only grabs what's currently active. By the way, that will not include this avatar because that's just a game mode thing. It will use the MOOS character, it will use the MOOS menus, etc. So part 3, migrating the assets to the template. I can now edit this template, prepare it, and while we don't have the automated packing system in place yet, you could then make your changes, zip this up, send it to Granddad, and it will show up in MOOS, and you could play test it. And yes, all good. But again, our goal was that you can play test it here locally using the default mannequins. All good. Any questions? Feel free to ask. I'll be glad to try to answer them. This is the complete process of bringing in the Sun demo, preparing it, and migrating it to the template for editing as a MOOS level. And you're ready to go.